Hello and welcome to Rasnamban 2017. We're back in the beautiful County Kilkenny for 5 days of tough stage race action. Riders from 20 nations and 25 teams assemble for 6 stages and over 400 kilometres of racing.
The biggest Irish race on the calendar every year. It's just got a really unique kind of field, and that kind of brings a unique atmosphere.
It means so much, you know, it's our Ross. To be riding with girls, you know, like the British team that are here, it's like Eleanor Barker. It's just fantastic to be among those women.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I've had a couple of teammates that are here with us who've ridden it before and said that it's a really good race, really well organised.
It was so beautiful stages, and I tell everybody it was the nicest competition I've ever done.
For such a small race, it seems really well organised, and yeah, we're looking forward to getting stuck in and see how the racing goes.
It's a very important race at a very important time of the year before World Championships.
The green jersey would be over the moon if I got it. Ultimately, I'd love a stage win, every rider would.
Maybe get a couple of stage wins between us would be nice, and I think the next few days should suit us quite well.
It's all set to go on stage 1 of Rasnamban 2017. The riders making their way to Goran, a new stage finish for the race via Thomastown and Rasnamban. Just one Queen of the Hills along the way for the riders as they complete preparations at the Spring Hill Court Hotel in Kilkenny.
Most likely a sprint, so we'll be trying to help Lydia out there. Thinking in terms of GC, maybe it can't be won today, but it can be lost, so just trying to not let anyone get away like last year. Someone snuck away, so we'll just see how it goes for the sprint.
25 teams of riders are getting set and underway, 400 kilometres and 6 stages ahead of them. The first of those starting in dry conditions. The flag is brought in by the race director to kick things off. It's a large bunch that remains compact for much of the stage. The early attacks, well, they're thick and fast as you might expect, and it's Masslandser Veris CCN on the attack, courtesy of Femke Gerris, and no surprise, Team Bryce also on the attack. Regular visitors to Rasnamban from Brittany. Molly Patch from CC London, attentive on the front of the bunch, and the crowd's out in force as ever. Representing Kilkenny and Waterford is the first Queen of the Hills of the week. Goes the way of Laura Massey, top rider on the British scene, and representing the Isle of Man squad, gets in ahead of Alice Sharp and Bella Degast and Mel Lowther, top 4 and scoring points in the early stages. The attacks continuing. Femke Gerris showing her urgency, her interest in getting involved. Mel Lowther, she is monitoring everything for the Team GB squad. Crack outfit that they've brought to Rasnamban this year, and it's Lowther that is in irrepressible form. Natalie Grinser spots the danger of that. Frida Knudsen, a former podium finisher on stages of Rasnamban, is also thereabouts. Grinser herself a stage winner in the past. Bella Degast is also interested and eager to stay close to the front as the riders make their way down. It looks as if it's a big group, no one managing to draw themselves clear. Eve McChrystal, Lydia Boylan, Michelle Gagan all to the fore for Irish squads, and Team WNT as well. Lowther goes again, and her immense power really is putting it up to the bunch. This perhaps the most productive attack of the afternoon. Lowther for Team GB and Team Crescent Air, defending champions and aware of the danger that Mel Lowther poses as we race down into the conclusion here in Goran. Big left turn and up the hill to complete a wonderful stage success. Bella Degast gets the victory for WV Breda ahead of Alice Barnes of Team GB.
Yeah, I started a sprint very early. Maybe too early, but it was okay.
A great sprint victory for Bella Degast takes her clear of Alice Barnes and Tifan Lahonts into Goran. Degast's impressive sprint has given her a narrow overall lead from Barnes and Knudsen, while the Dutchwoman also leads the NDC points classification. Eve McChrystal is best Irish rider, Alice Barnes is best young rider, and Laura Massey will wear the Wicklow 200 climbers jersey.
Stage 2 is based in and around the beautiful town of Castlecomer. It's the Bowtie stage, 75 kilometres in total, 2 loops that include 2 Queen of the Hills assaults. Showers and sunshine for the riders as they get set to get underway.
I think we'll be happy if it comes down to a sprint, but always keeping an eye for those attacks as well to see what happens.
riders underway, making their way out of the Discovery Park and heading out for those 75 kilometres. Great to see the crowds out, the local schools supporting this race in force once more this year, and the big bunch together with Bella de Gast looking very relaxed in that pink En Poste leader's jersey. And the big group is still together in the early stages, but there are plenty of challenges along the way. The early attacks once more. It's Femke Gerris on the move for the Maaslander Veres CCN squad and her Dutch fellow countrywoman. It's Veronique Vamus Bowman that has gone raiding. The two up front developing an advantage. Well, it's stretched out to just over a minute, but the big bunch behind chasing them down in advance of the first Queen of the Hills of the day at Feroda. And it's the Isle of Man squad on the front trying to keep the tempo just right for the leader of the Wicklow 200 Mountains competition. And across the line it is Britain's Olympic champion Eleanor Barker that takes top points, just ahead of the Wicklow 200 Mountains leader Laura Massey. Bella de Gast and Natalie Grinzer also scoring good points on Hill 1 of 2. Further around the circuit, the group is smaller than it was, but still large in size as these hills are starting to take effect. Great support throughout the day and throughout the week for the riders. Onto the second climb of the day at Bilbao, and Bella de Gast showing her sprinting prowess that propelled her into the pink jersey as she takes the second climb of the day from Eleanor Barker, with Laura Massey getting up for third on the line. And those points should keep Laura Massey in the mountains lead through into day 3. Further through the day, and treacherous underwheel conditions for the riders. Absolutely no grip whatsoever. Mel Lowther comes to grief, Alice Barnes too on the deck. Frida Knutson also having to pick herself up, and a great effort from Wilma Lawson as she managed to just cruise around the outside. Steph Mottram now on the attack, the NCC Quota Torelli rider with a narrow advantage, the former triathlete from Aylesbury in Berkshire with a brave effort into the closing few kilometres. And that group has swelled in size once more since the crash, with riders getting back on. Indeed, it's Alice Barnes with Frida Knutson, both of them crash victims as they lead out into the final 200 metres, and it's Alice Barnes that just hangs on for the stage win ahead of Frida Knutson.
I came into I got back on, and then came into the finish, and it was just a case of position well and be over the bridge first, and then just try and hold on. But yeah, it was quite a long sprint.
Alice Barnes produces a perfect response to her stage 1 defeat to outgun Swedish duo Frida Knutson and Wilma Olausson by the narrowest of margins. De Gast is safely in the group in 8th to keep the overall lead for a second day, while Barnes takes the NDC points and women's cycling.ie young rider lead. But Crystal hangs on to the Kilkenny green jersey, and Laura Massey retains the Wicklow 200 Mountains lead.
Day 3, and it's the big one, place to place out of Kilkenny, heading to Mount Leinster. The two final Category 1 assaults backloaded on this tough stage. 112 kilometres in total await, and the riders head out under, well, bright skies, perfect conditions in contrast to this equivalent stage 12 months ago, but the challenges are plenty, and the Team Bryce riders, Cecilia Labrie, smiling and looking forward to the day. It's her teammate Numier Abgral that's on the attack in the early stages. She's brought with her for company Sophie Pulford of the CCN squad, and not satisfied with the pace, Abgral decides to forge on alone. It's great effort from her. Gail Belloc comes up from the Team Bryce car to give her the news. Ultimately, that one comes to naught, but a brave effort from Numier Abgral that's acknowledged by the CCN team. So many riders keen to get up the road before those climbs at the back end, and Mel Lowther, well, no surprise to see her on the attack for Team GB. They want to control the pace, make sure they've got a rider in any significant breakaway, and groups starting to form on the road. As up front, Josie Knight gets into this move with Mel Lowther. That's Alexandra Nesmar of Team Crescent Dare. 9 riders clear as Mount Leinster looms in the distance. That's what they're heading towards. Eleanor Barker has raced across from the main group and has latched onto the back of this 9-rider group. Josie Knight feels the ascent, the gradients up to 20% in places on Corribut Gap, but it's Eleanor Barker that's now clear and on her own across the first of these 2 mountains that come in quick succession. Nesmar second across the line, but it's Barker very much racing solo to try and extend her advantage, take as much time as she possibly can. Virtually nothing between the riders on the first 2 days, so Barker is surely now racing into pink. She takes the victory on stage 3 and will take over the race lead as a result. Alexandra Nesmar of Sweden and Team Crescent Dare through and home for an excellent second place. Laura Massey third across the line.
We're in a perfect situation really in that we had Alice off the front with a group of strong riders and a few pretty good climbers that we were hoping would have worked really, really hard in the group before that and tired themselves out a little bit before the climb, which I think is what happened, because by the time I'd caught up to them they were looking pretty tired, I think, and had all ridden pretty hard to the bottom of the climb. So it's a perfect situation for me that I caught them about 2k before the first QM and then hit them with about a k to go and then just carried it on the rest of the hill and got the stage run.
It's a dominant win for Barker on the summit of Mount Leinster as Nesmar survives from the breakaway group for second and Massey edges Grinzer for third. Barker now has a commanding lead with Nesmar and Grinzer in the top 3. Barker also holds Wicklow 200 Mountains, while McChrystal remains the best Irish rider and Mel Lowther moves into the young rider lead. Welcome back to Kilkenny, where the riders are getting ready for the 4th stage at Rasnamban. The 11-kilometre time trial gets underway shortly, but first, let's hear from the team managers about their experience at Ireland's premier women's stage race.
From a racing perspective, it's been brilliant. The girls are really enjoying the Ras at the moment.
It's a real nice balance of serious bike racing, but there's also a really kind of relaxed feel to it. It's a really nice atmosphere.
You can really tell that you guys are putting an emphasis on women's cycling.
The organisation has been brilliant, the racing has been fantastic, and the fact that it's always really safe out there on the roads as well. I think the organisers have done a really, really good job.
I think all of our team are really enjoying it so far. We've had crashes, we've had tears, but everyone still gets up every morning and is laughing, so we're very happy.
So well supported by a really strong core of volunteers. That's people that love the sport. I think are the key to its success.
And we're here as preparation for the World Championships, and so far so good. It's really it's been perfect for that.
It's important to us to try and get the girls out, but to gain experience and learn how to race in bigger bunches. This is a big race, but it's where they can be part of it.
Well, hopefully try to sort of maintain the lead right the way to the end on Sunday. It's been great so far. I've really enjoyed it, and the girls are really liking it as well, so I definitely think we'll be coming back next year.
Last year I had a really good time, we had really good results, the team was really strong, so we'll come back next year and I think it will stay a fundamental part of our race programme.
The first of 2 stages on day 4, the 11-kilometre out and back time trial was billed as a great opportunity for race leader Eleanor Barker to show her Olympic championship winning pursuit ability. Crystal Van Loo of Maastlandsder Verus CCN set the early pace in blustery conditions, battling the headwind on the way home to stop the clocks in 16 minutes and 28 seconds. Irish time trial champion Eileen Burns of Team Ulster paired 20 seconds from that time, and EJ Harris of the Isle of Man squad further lowered the benchmark to 15 minutes and 50 seconds, good enough for an eventual 6th place on the stage. The times tumbled as we moved towards the back end of the start sheet, with Frida Knudsen of Team Crescent Dare lowering the mark to 15 minutes and 33 seconds. Steph Mottram of NCC Group Quota Torelli produced a time good enough for 5th, then Mel Lowther and Natalie Grinzer, the latter a former winner of the Rasnamban time trial, went close to Knudsen. Last rider off the ramp, Eleanor Barker would not be denied. The race leader from Team GB shaving just over 10 seconds from Knutson's time to take the stage and reinforce her authority on the general classification.
Yeah, looking really good. Yeah, 2 stages left, so I think we've got a fairly decent lead at the minute. As long as I don't lose, I think, a minute and a half in the crit tonight, then it'll be alright. Go into tomorrow and just try and protect it then.
There's no upset to the form book as Barker makes it 2 in a row in the time trial with Knutson pipped for a second time and Grintzer in strong third place. Barker adds to her overall lead as Grintzer moves within a second of Nesmar in general classification. No change in young rider and best Irish as Mel Lowther and Eve McChrystal retain their leads.
It's a 2.1 kilometre circuit for the riders in what's going to be the fastest bunch stage of the week. It's the Criterium, the second stage of the day. And the Team Bry's riders always come with a good attitude to the racing. They'll be involved in the action, sending the riders away from the parade in front of Kilkenny Castle along the Nuncio Road, waiting for the moment when the flag comes in to begin the racing in earnest. Immediately, as you might expect, the attacks are coming thick and fast as up front, going to the first prime of the day, and EJ Harris just pinches that one from Lauren Kramer, Isle of Man rider, getting the move and not too far from the front and ready to immediately launch an attack. She likes to be clear of the field, doesn't she? Showing us some of this team pursuit ability is Eleanor Barker, the overall race leader, racing in pink, but well, the bunch ever vigilant to the danger posed by the World Points Race champion. Her teammate Alice Barnes in NDC black, she's off the front as well. Clearly the plan for Team GB is to put a rider in every move. Eve McChrystal in the Kilkenny County Council Best Irish Rider jersey just looks as Mel Lowther in the young rider classification lead is the next rider to launch a move, and Lowther is clear and has a bit of daylight on the bunch. It's great effort here from the Team GB rider as she races up and past and across the start-finish line once more to take the second prime of the day. Becky Raybould has been on team duty throughout the week, but completing the Team GB riders off the front. She races clear with Kirsten Padeham. Padeham not able to cover this move on this occasion, and it's Becky Raybould that is going to spend a little bit more time out front. The bunch though, well, it's considerably reduced in size, but it manages to close down another attack. Bella Degast, the next one to try her luck. She's the rider from WV Breda who took stage 1 in such fine style in a sprint. She wants to get clear if she possibly can, and Eleanor Barker, well, knows just how dangerous a rider that she is. Into the final lap, and Eleanor Barker has decided to launch an attack, doesn't want to risk leaving it to a sprint. Frida Knutson in Joe Daly's blue has just closed up onto the tail of Eleanor Barker, racing down the hill on St Patrick's Street, heading towards the final turn, and it's Knutson that leads into the final bend, but she misses her braking point, runs wide. It's Belle Degast that gets the all-important move up the inside, and Degast across the line to take stage 5 ahead of Knutson, with Barker in third, stretching her lead overall.
Yeah, it was hard, very hard, but I win the stage, so I'm very happy, but I didn't expect it.
Degast wins for a second time as Knutson is denied once more. Barker's consistency produces third place, and Barker adds another 12 seconds to her lead approaching the final stage, with Nesmar and Grintzer separated by a single second. Barker is back in the lead of the NDC points competition on count back from teammate Alice Barnes.
It's the final push, the 6th and final stage of An Post Rasnamban 2017 at 90 kilometres, the second longest stage of the week, and it poses the considerable banana skin climb of Woodstock, which is going to be a difficult one for Eleanor Barker to ensure she retains her lead.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. It's not too long a stage today, so I've only got to hold on to, I think, a minute and 40, so as long as nothing gets that far up the road, then I'll be okay.
The wet weather has arrived in time for the final stage as the riders embark and are sent on their way. It's Lily Greenhalgh that has decided to venture forth from the bunch, the young Edco Continental rider in her first An Post Rasnamban. A little bit of daylight from the peloton, but perhaps hoping that a group of riders would come across to her and present a decent breakaway opportunity. Eventually that one comes to naught. It's clearly evident that the WV Breda squad want to try and control all the early attacks and ensure that there's at least some Dutch representation up front. WV Breda waiting and wondering where the next attack is coming from. Already a couple of stage wins courtesy of Bella de Gasht this week, and I wonder perhaps if they're thinking of bringing this one down to a sprint once more in Kilkenny. While Team Bryce have other ideas as they launch Clare, one of the most attacking teams of the week, the French regional team from Brittany, and they've recruited some help from Poitou-Charentes, the other regional squad, as out front Ellen Gerard, Tifan Laurence and India Granger from the Poitou-Charentes squad have gone clear. That one doesn't quite work out on this occasion, as Alexandra Nesmar sitting second overall, perhaps trying to ambush Team GB and get clear in a move ahead of the climb of Woodstock a little bit later on. They approach the lower slopes of the climb at Woodstock, and that one hasn't quite worked out for Nesmar. Brave bid from the Team Crescent Dare rider, still sitting on the front of the group as they race clear towards the top, though. It's Eleanor Barker who rubber stamps her authority on the Wicklow 200 Queen of the Mountains competition by taking the final climb of the week clear of the second place rider Laura Massey of the Isle of Man. Grinzer Nesmar also scoring well, and WB Breda, after that single tough climb of the day, have decided to try and put riders clear of the field in the next move. And no surprise, it is the irrepressible figure of Numier Abgral of Team Brage that has danced clear of the peloton for another bid for glory. She loves to go on the attack. Vamas Bowman and Gerris also on the attack, the two Dutch riders with their French companion, making it a trio up front and opening up an advantage of just north of a minute. That's when it started to get a little bit difficult for Team GB. They put their entire team on the front, with Becky Raybould setting the agenda for the overall race leader Eleanor Barker. A little bit of frustration for Abgral. She's not getting the cooperation she'd like, and she's decided to launch clear, and Gerris will resist for as long as she possibly can. And ultimately the pace from the Great Britain riders on the front of the peloton. Alice Barnes just relaying and handing over to Eleanor Barker, the overall race leader, setting the tempo into the closing stages, well inside the final 10 kilometres, and the Great Britain team clearly want to keep this one together. The heavens open in the final kilometre, and Alice Barnes in the NDC black jersey leads them up to complete En Post Rasnamban with another stage victory. It's her second of the week.
It was always the plan really to try and work in the last 10k. And then it just so happened that there was something that we really did need to chase down, so we had to work quite hard for that. But it was more about making sure that nothing else went off and that there was nobody that had fresh legs that could then get off the front and get a gap in the last 10k. Got to around a minute at one point, and if it went anything over that we would have been a little bit more worried, but we're happy to let them sit out there for a little bit.
A second stage win of the week for Alice Barnes ahead of Amanda Jameson and Knutson, who makes it a remarkable 4 podium finishes for the week. Barker is safely in the front of the group to secure a comfortable overall victory, with Nesmar hanging on to second from Grinzer. Barnes' final stage success nets her the NDC points jersey. Barker takes the Wicklow 200 Queen of the Hill. Lowther secures the young rider win, and Eve McChrystal's 5th overall carries her to the Kilkenny Best Irish Rider victory. So that's it from Post Rasnamban 2017, an emphatic win for Eleanor Barker. It's been a lovely week here in Kilkenny with great crowds, brilliant weather and sensational racing. Goodbye.